Okay, recording video on Thursday, the 30th of June 2022. It's just gone 8:14 p.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well and hope you're having a good week's trading. So, got a few charts to show you today. We're going to show you the 10-year Treasury notes, so a bond chart, Bitcoin and Ethereum, because they're kind of perking up today at the close on Thursday, and some E-mini charts. I don't know what I'm going to title this video, but something probably like it's always darkest before the dawn. Potentially on the E-mini we've just kind of tested and found a little bit of a bottom and we could be bouncing. But I'll show you my charts and just have a look and see what you think. So last week had a very nice trade, long E-mini most of the week, got out on towards the end on, I think it was the end of the close on Friday, didn't want to hold it over the weekend. And I wasn't sure at the end of last week whether to kind of take a short trade or what to do on the E-mini. I just kind of wanted to take profits and kind of stand aside. But in the meantime, so instead of trading the E-mini, there was a little trade kind of popped up on the 10 years. And I took that at the beginning of the week. I think it was Tuesday the 28th of June, got out of that on the close today, Thursday, so in at 16.21, out at 18.15, so for almost 2 points on the bonds, which was a nice little trade. So I'll show you that on these charts. This is the simplified view of the better indicators. I mean, I try to make things simple, but then I add complexity by saying you got to look at two charts side by side. I don't know. The simplicity is that you've got the best of the three non-correlated indicators all on one chart. And with signals showing where we get triple signals, where all three indicators kind of come together to say we have a potential setup. And the reason why I use the two charts side by side is I'm very interested in the blue professional bars on the higher time frame charts. So for a kind of a swing trade, kind of 2 or 3 day type trade, these are good settings. 1,000 tip bar charts for the lower time frame chart and a 3,000 tip bar chart for the higher time frame chart. You can see the last activity that we had, we topped out with exhaustion buy, bearish divergence, blue professional bars. We were overbought and we broke the trailing stop here, bang, into a nice little kind of drop. But the most important thing for taking trades here is the blue professional bars. On the way down here, we did not have exhaustion sell with a bullish divergence pattern. We were oversold. Here's the background of better sine wave showing we were oversold down here, and we did have blue professional bars come in here and here. So that for me is the most important thing. I'm looking at the professional bars on the higher time frame, and then I'm looking for signals either on the higher or the lower time frame. It doesn't kind of matter. To show that there is potential kind of opportunity to kind of go long. So here we go on the 1,000 tip bar chart. This thing bottomed. We had a couple of signals down here. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, blue professional bars. We break the trailing stop. We're oversold down here. We get a signal. We come back again. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence. So it comes down here and immediately kind of bounces off there. More blue professional bars come in, and then we start to take off. So I was in at 16.21 on the 28th, took a little bit of heat here, but then kind of this thing raced away, which is nice. And we had a couple of good opportunities to kind of get confirmation that it was a good trade. You can see here all these red up arrows are signs of strength, showing that everything's kind of going well. These are blue professional bars kind of coming down each time, and we bounce off those. And you can see here we come down, we bounce off here, bounce into an uptrend here, and then when this thing kind of took off, bang, we were good up until the close on Thursday. And the reason for getting out is the opposite kind of signals going on. Blue professional bars at the highs. We've got a signal from the triple indicators here showing exhaustion sell, bearish divergence, we're overbought, bang, and we've had some weakness from there. It's not time to go short at that point, but it was a good little setup here. I'd kind of look at higher time frame charts to see, you know, we could have cracked into a longer term trend on 10 years, and there might be another opportunity to go long kind of later, but that was a good one for this week. So that's the 10-year chart. Here is what's happening today after the close in Bitcoin. All of a sudden, you know, people are talking about, oh, Bitcoin's going to go to 10,000, blah, blah, blah. Lots of negativity, and rightly so in the kind of crypto space right now. But when you see activity like this, which is kind of extreme, on the 13,500 tip bar chart, all these blue professional bars. So they were buying it when we came down to 18.5, they were picking it up at the lows, picking it up, and then all of a sudden they decided, no, we got to buy everything in the stack. And there it is, rips through 19,000, bang, 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 all the way up almost to 21,000. All these blue professional bars buying everything in the stack. So we could easily kind of just settle back into this range after that, but that'll be the real test. It's like, what happens next? Do we get a stair-step trade where the professional bars kind of step it up after that? What's going to happen here? Because we've had a lot of kind of interest right there. Here was the last time they kind of did the same thing, bang, and then we have a little bit of a retrace, and then it kind of gets going. We go into an exhaustion buy, blue professional bars, bearish divergence, get some signals, kind of go the other way. Let me just see what's going on in the lower time frames. Yeah, so lower time frames, look at this. So exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, we're oversold, a whole bunch of blue professional bars coming in at the lows and the lows. We break the trailing stop, and there is our signal. So all three indicators kind of come together there. For showing that kind of break at 19.2 there. So Bitcoin, something going on, and Ethereum, same thing. We've got signals going on here on the highest time frame chart, blue professional bars at the lows, oversold, and so on. We didn't get signals on the 4,500 tip bar chart, but that's because we've actually not broken the trailing stop yet. So you can see the stop kind of has had a little bit of a funky turn here, but if it breaks up through 1115, that would give us a triple. So we got exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, oversold, and we break through the trailing stop. So Ethereum is kind of looking interesting right now. And on the longer time frame charts, it's important to look at this. And I know this is a lot going on here, but let me try and simplify this. The first thing, BTC USD, which I like for my long-term charts, 1440 minute is 24 hours, so that's a daily chart effectively. And down here we put in pullback to end of trend down there, so that's really important cyclically. We still probably have to go pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame because we're below support here, and so we will have another kind of test down. But for a left shoulder, and again I witter on about these pullback to end of trends rippling through the time frames. First the lowest time frame, then the intermediate time frame, and then the highest time frame. This for a left shoulder does look good when we get confirmation like that. And what's good about it is we have blue professional bars down here at the lows. I know we tried to catch it at 30, but I think that was when the Terra news kind of came out, and it kind of, that just gave way, and we lurched back down to the next level, kind of down here. So that's looking interesting on the daily charts. Then E-mini. So 13,500 tip bar charts, my highest time frame tip bar charts, roughly equivalent to a 20-minute chart here. And the activity that we had today is interesting because we've got a whole bunch of blue professional bars coming in at the end of the day. Slightly different look on these charts because I'm looking at the better indicators in detail here. So on the right hand side, everything to do with price with better sine wave here below the price bars, calculating our support and resistance levels on the price bars themselves, and breaks into uptrends are shown in red, breaks into downtrends shown with white bars. Left hand side, everything to do with volume. We've got better momentum here, which is a volume based momentum indicator, and then on the price bars we've got blue professional price bars and yellow amateur bars using the average trade size to calculate those things. And you can see the E-mini kind of topped out at the end of last week. This is with the Rambo patterns into those highs, and we've kind of fallen off. And the last lurch down that we had, blue professional bars kind of come in here, stair step down, and we kind of test into the lows. It's not exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence down here, but blue professional bars have come in at this point here. And on the sine wave side of things, I talk about, you know, the pullback to end of trends rippling through the time frames. Well, we have the whole confluence kind of down here. So pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, that's syncing up with pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame. We bounce off that, and we've come back again now with a kind of a pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, and we've got cyclical support here. So we've got a bunch of stuff kind of going on at the moment here, and a whole bunch of blue professional bars. If we had had, you know, exhaustion sell at this point here, I would be very tempted to say, you know, and a bullish divergence kind of around here, this is an important area, and if we break through 3803, then potentially we're going for a run to the upside. I know we're weakening at the moment. What we did have is this little bit of a short covering rally kind of here with exhaustion buy, and we're coming off this bearish divergence signal kind of coming down. So it's interesting for a long trade above 38.03 and then short kind of above 30 below 37.70, kind of down there. So I'm going to be looking at that in the after hours. On the 15-minute chart, it's also setting up here, so better sine wave on the 15-minute chart. We're running resistance to support on the highest time frame. We've got a cross in due here. We've put in a pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, and that is syncing up. A trending move in the lowest time frame that has ended is syncing up with a cyclical support on the highest time frame, and that's kind of good, having just overshot this support at this point. So if we have support kind of come in here on the highest time frame tip bar chart, and then we've got blue professional bars, very weak selling at this point kind of going on. We've put in our exhaustion sells, flush patterns. So again, this is looking interesting for holding at support here. And if we get above this 38.23 level here, that would be interesting for a break into an uptrend. So that's kind of the 15-minute chart. I'm not going to show you the 45 is interesting as well, because here it's a stair step. At the end of the day, we had a blue professional bars kind of come in here. On the 45-minute chart, we have put in our pullback to end of trend on the highest time frame. We've got pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, syncing up here. We're about to put in a support, and it'll be a triple support on the intermediate time frame. You can see that's about to print. This will be a little overshoot of support on the lowest time frame being caught by support on the next highest time frame here with blue professional bars. So that'll give us, with beginning of tomorrow's trade, support on all three time frames there potentially, the low, intermediate, and the high, the intermediate, and the low time frame, with a blue professional bar there at those lows. So that's looking really interesting from that perspective. So let's wait and see, but breaking up into 3800s would be a signal that this is caught and we've tested into these lows. And we always get a little bit of bullish activity into 4th of July. This week's activity was not bullish, though you usually have 3 or 4 days leading into a holiday period that are kind of bullish. So we didn't get that, but the bullishness does actually go past the 4th of July. Usually, the seasonal pattern usually lasts 2 or 3 days after the 4th. So potentially we got a long kind of setting up, so I'll be looking at that kind of in the after hours to see if we get that. And then I don't know, I'll show you this last chart. Years ago I did have a series out on better volume, which was the precursor to better pro-am. It was the first kind of volume indicator that I really liked and published, and it's out there in the public domain, and still got a huge number of fans of it, which is great. But I used to send people to a little private course where I talked about some particular patterns that I really liked on better volume, and one of them was called the red, white, and blue pattern. And let me see if I can show you one. It's kind of at these highs. It's the kind of thing you can see, but here's a red bar, up bar, showing exhaustion buy. Got a couple of amateur bars, yellow bars kind of up here, low volume kind of bars, followed by a blue bar, which is a high churn bar, which means high volume and relative low range. And then a couple of bars later we get a white bar, which is exhaustion sell kind of down. And the red, white, and blue pattern shows an exhaustion buy followed by churn, then exhaustion sell. So it shows a turning point. I mean, sometimes they're clean and you don't get kind of amateur bars or yellow bars in between. Sometimes they're side by side, sometimes they're not. But they show turning points where you have an extreme in one direction, a churn bar, which is really important because that shows that the market is churning, that the range is compressed because any new buying activity is being met by selling activity, and then you get a reversal bar showing that it's changed direction and it's moving in the other direction. So it's a red, white, and blue pattern. This is a double red, white, and blue pattern. Very unusual, but it's kind of a classic. So red, white, and blue. Exhaustion buy, high churn, exhaustion sell, and normally that sets off in the downside. So we would have a continuation of this sell bar. Well, here's another one. Here's a classic. rather than showing you one that's kind of a little bit hidden and complex. Here's a red, white and blue pattern. Exhaustion buy, high churn, exhaustion sell, getting the move going. Really nice. This one, was the Friday into Monday, Tuesday's kind of activity, where we kind of went up, churned, and went the other way. But what's interesting is we're setting up the other way. So with Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday's activity, exhaustion sell. Wednesday was a high churn bar, showing that there was a relatively high range high volume, low range, followed by exhaustion buy, and that was a big read today with 1.9 million, and it shows an exhaustion buy pattern, showing that the majority of the activity today was actually buying. So it's not a classic little setup here where we kind of change direction. It's like this bar has actually happened, as a continuation of this blue bar. It's kind of underneath it instead of on top of it, but the signal doesn't particularly care how the bars look. It's the sequence of the patterns. But what we've shown is an exhaustion sell move, high churn, and today's activity seemingly exhaustion buy, kind of potentially getting the move going. So I don't know. Let's wait and see. The market will tell us which way it's going to break, but it is worth contemplating kind of trades in either direction. We're in that kind of court stage where we could break a little bit either way. I could see it breaking either way, and you can see this is the tip bar chart at the moment. It's kind of selling down. So I don't know. Maybe it's we're going to have weakness into the fourth. If we break through this level here, yeah, it's kind of coming down and down. Anyway, I'm open-minded, as we should be. Traders just turn on the dime. We don't care whether it goes up or down. All we want to do is catch a little bit of a trending move. There we go. Hope your trading is going well.